The reason you're not creating the thing that you want to create is because you do not trust that you are enough exactly as you are. If you grew up as a hypervigilant child, you would have learned quite early on to question whether there was something wrong with you, missing, broken, like the version of yourself that you were born into just somehow wasn't good enough for the rest of the world. And so you learned to play in these masks. You learned to always adapt who you think the room needed you to be. You learned to shapeshift your identity. You learned to hide things about yourself that you believed other people wouldn't find desirable or lovable or would be too much or not enough. And what this created was this real fracture within the trust that you are exactly who you need to be to create the things that you want to create. So instead of going from this natural creative cycle or process of I have the idea, I create the thing, and yeah, there's a little discomfort in the middle, but that's part of the creative process. That's part of how our artwork, our creations, our voice, our whatever, our gifts actually expand and evolve us. What happens is you get the idea and then you sidestep. You go, I can't create this thing that I see in my mind in front of me by being my version of myself now. So I need to go this way to work out who does the world need me to be before I can then action these ideas to then create my vision. And this is why your creative process feels so heavy. It's why it feels so daunting. It's why it feels so overwhelming, because not only are you experiencing the natural triggers and discomfort that comes up for anyone around being more seen, around sharing your creative work, around sharing your voice and your work and taking up more space and building your capacity to be able to process and fully feel those things and make it so safe to feel that you then allow yourself to still create and move through that thing. You are using that as evidence that you are still not being the correct version of yourself, and therefore you cannot, and it is not safe to create this thing. This is what happens when the fear of not being good enough, that for those of us that grew up as hypervigilant children, learn to kind of really anchor our identity into from a very early age, runs the show. And the trap of this is that the more you continue to have the idea, sidestep to work out who you need to be before you can create these things that you become the correct thing for your creative vision, the more you do that, the more unsafe you make it to be yourself here when I receive the idea. Because it's you in this present moment receiving this idea. Therefore, you need to start trusting that you've been given it because you were the correct vessel to make this creative vision come true. That constant need to sidestep to work out who else you need to be first before you can then create this idea is the thing that is causing the most resistance. So if that resonated, hi, I'm Meg, and I help ambitious female entrepreneurs, artists, creatives, dreamers like yourself how to make it safe to be seen. And my upcoming masterclass is all about untangling yourself from this fear of not being enough. This video is literally just the tip of the iceberg. So if this resonated, head to the link in my bio to register for your ticket for the masterclass. Mwah.